So, just how far are you willing to show out that you are a super fan of the Spurs? And was Devin Vassell, was he left off a recent players list?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did. I was at the UFC fights in San Antonio this Saturday. So, yeah, I had fun. I hope you all had fun. And welcome back right here to Locked On Spurs. For those who don't know me, all right, for the Kens 5 TV station out here in San Antonio, I'm the Spurs beat writer. And as always, make sure to follow us on, pretty much everywhere you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know what you do. What's that? Subscribe ASAP. Make sure you do that right now. Keep on coming back right here to Locked On Spurs, your first listen. You guys are the everydayers. All right, so what are we talking about today? Well, you can see on your screen if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're not and you're listening in, we're going to be talking about the new Wemby fan section. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all know about this, right? Wemby that is, he wants to recreate that European soccer sections. We know where they got towels waving, flags waving, somebody got smoke bombs going. I don't think they're gonna put smoke bombs in the frost, but at least that's the concept. But what is it about? And more importantly, is it worth it? Wait till you hear the price tag. Yeah, there is a price tag to this. And then we're gonna revisit one of the topics from last week, and that was the Locked On NBA Top 100 Players. Actually, this topic was generated by a fan. We'll mention them in a few minutes. Was another Spur snubbed. We talked about how Castle was snubbed and when we reacted to it initially, but a fan thinks another player was snubbed. You can already tell what that is if you're watching on YouTube. We're into that and more. Let's go and bring in our guest. He is back, everybody. Kick us off on a Monday. Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated, rocking the New York Yankees cap. I didn't know you were a Yankees fan.
You know, it's funny. I've actually gotten several comments since returning to school because this is a new hat that I picked up at Yankee Stadium when I was in New York over the summer. I was never into MLB, so when I first went to New York and when I was 13 or so, I said I was a Yankees fan. I got a Yankees hat. I've just kind of loosely followed them ever since. And I'm not big into MLB, so.
Well, that's okay because I lived in New York City for 20 years and I have several New York Yankee caps. It's Mets caps, so I got tons of them. But Matt, again, we appreciate you taking time to join us here on Locked On Spurs. Make sure to follow him on X at MattGZMAN. He's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him ASAP, especially with the season kind of already around the corner. So keep that in mind. All right, Matt, let's dive into it here. So the Spurs / Victor Wembanyama last week, I believe, right, Matt? It was early last week that they announced that a new fan section is coming. And this is separate and apart from the baseline bumps. The baseline bumps aren't going anywhere, right? They're staying there. They're sitting down near where Matt and I sit during games. But Victor Wembanyama, I tell you what, it's his idea. He wants to recreate that European soccer, European basketball fan environment. I know y'all seen the videos. I know, Matt, you have, where it's just the rowdiness in a good way, but rowdiness, like they have like the country flag, just like massive ones, just waving everywhere. Drums hitting, people are hitting the drums. They're all painted up with the team colors and everything. That's exactly what Wemby and the Spurs want to recreate. If I remember correctly, it is in section 115. So if you make it, more on that in a bit, you'll be sitting up close to the action. Matt, before we get into the details and why maybe some Spurs fans are kind of like, maybe not. I think I know exactly what Wemby wants to do. It's a good concept, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where, like we talked about, we've seen it before. We've seen it work in other sports and in other countries. And honestly, it's starting to make its way over here too. I mean, the Clippers in their new arena just unveiled that wall, whatever they're going to call it. And so I think it's a good idea. It's something that could work. It's something that has a lot of potential, especially because Spurs fans do tend to be very passionate about the team and during the games. And I think, it could be something that kind of gives the team a little bit of a boost. And if it's something, as we're talking about this new arena that kind of carries itself to become a new staple of these Spurs games, it could see itself being a thing for years. If it works out, I think it's, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, exactly. And well, Matt just put it like pretty much served it on a platter for you right there. Try, yes. If you're gonna make it, you have to actually try out. Trials were actually yesterday, Matt, Sunday at the Frost. Victor was there. He was judging. I'm pretty sure other people were judging. Yeah, you have to try out for this. Again, another aspect that I like because if you have to try out for a seat in this special section, you got to bring your A game, especially if Victor is judgy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think I could find a Spurs fan who wouldn't be interested in being excessive and loud and crazy and excited, especially knowing that Victor was going to be watching. So I hope that they found some good fans and good people for that section. And I guess we're about to find out what it looks like and if it works.
Yeah. And now for the fine print. Now, this is where I think some Spurs fans initially who jumped on board may have took one leg out and said, like, well, hold on here. First of all, if you got to try out. So even if you go and you try out, you may not get picked. So I get it. Hey, that's sports. Some people make the team, some people don't. That's just part of it. Okay, fine. But outside of that, it comes with a hefty cost. If you make it, it's $999. 900, yeah. And the Spurs, according to the fine print, will work with you. You have to pay up front the first half and then later on the second half. But it's not a season pass. It's just a ticket. You get to go to every home game, and the Spurs and the fine print didn't detail exactly what else is included. I mean, obviously that's, Section 115 is very close to the court, so that's good. You are part of this initial wave of a new fan section, so that's cool. But do you think $1,000 is pushing it, Matt?
I could see why people would be disinterested. If I were a fan and in that situation, being, freshly is still young. I don't really have $999 just fork up like that. If I were in this position, well,
What?
not
That's shocking.
not for a fan section, maybe not. So I understand because it kind of takes a lot of people out of the equation.
Yeah.
That said, I think the people who are all in gung ho about the Spurs, they might see that as, maybe I can't go out a couple of extra times a month, or maybe I need to just, budget a little bit more in this. And I think that they would see it being worth it. They might see it as a chance to meet Victor Wembanyama, and to them that could be worth $999, But it absolutely does remove a lot of fans from consideration because people aren't going to want to pay. I know in my family, nobody in my family would be wanting to pay $999 to be a part of a fan section, So I get it. It makes sense. But at the same time, I think there are fans who probably look at that and say, why, that's a steal. I get to meet Victor for under $1,000. I'll take it. Who knows what they're thinking, but I think there will be people that are interested, and there will be people who were absolutely just completely turned off by the idea as soon as they saw that.
Yeah, from what I saw on social media, because I had put it out there after I helped the Spurs make the announcement, and you did too, Matt. I looked at the fine print and I said, oh, wait a minute, maybe I think Spurs fans need to know about this tidbit, and that's when I also put it out there. It's like $999. It's a little steep. I mean, I guess maybe it is a little cheaper than getting their season, regular season pass there. So I guess there's that. The Spurs did say they didn't reveal that there will be extra perks. What they are, we still don't know. Maybe like gear. I could see T-shirts or some of that. But another downside to it is you're probably going to be restricted to what you can do. Now, the NBA does have a fan code. And if you sit very close to the action, which this section will be very close to the action, some fans sometimes get cards, like you're violating the fan code of conduct. You're cussing too much. This is your warning. We've seen it, especially when Kawhi Leonard comes to San Antonio. Fans are screaming their head off at him, and a lot of fan cards pop up that day. So I've got a feeling the fan behavior will be monitored and regulated. And I think that also can make people think like, hey, well, I'm paying close to $1,000. I should be able to, bleep this and cuss and this and that, and maybe really, really, go at the opposing team. So there's that side too. What do you think, man?
Yeah, for sure. And those cards are always funny to me. I like when people when people get one, they tend to go to social media and say, "I got this card," and they're proud of it too.
It's like a like a badge of honor or something.
They definitely do see it that way, and I could see that being a thing. If the Spurs are essentially going to put their name behind this fan section and almost vouch for these fans to help their team do well, to give their team energy, to set the standard for fans at Frost Bank Center. I could see them wanting to kind of reel things back and kind of uphold a certain image with this fan section, and some there are going to be sections of fans in that section who made it that are going to be very happy to comply with that. And there might be other fans who are, I paid all this money, like you said, why should I have to be monitored, or why should it, why should you tell me what I get to do or what I get to say? But I'm sure that's also part of the contract that they sign whenever they made the cut. They'll probably have to understand that is the expectation. But I think you're right. There certainly will be. You're not just getting free tickets in section 115. I think there's going to be something that comes with it for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And you factor in the cost. There will probably be a fan code of conduct from the Spurs, and hey, you get this seat, you make it, sign this. Like, you're right, Matt. That's probably going to come up too. But man, I don't know. I think it'll work. I think it will work out. I think the initial wave of, I think they call them the ultra fans. The first fan wave of ultra fans will probably be like word of mouth spreading. Like, hey, it's actually pretty cool. They're probably going to allow the national spotlight. When the Spurs are at home and it's national TV, they'll probably put little cameras right on them. So that'll be kind of a fun treat. So I think it's close for me. I think it's like I'm right there 50-50 if I was going to do it. But I just got to see what those other perks are. I think that's going to push me over, whether I say, it's okay, or no, I would do it. But Matt, would you do it? Would you try out for this new fan section?
In that position, like I was saying, I think if it came with a chance to meet Victor, to maybe get something signed by him or signed by some of these players, I definitely think that would be worth it for a lot of people. I think it would be a very enticing thing. It's kind of hard to imagine. I just can't get past the price for myself. It's hard to imagine that I would actually go through with this, right? But I mean, it's a really cool idea. I like that they're going to try this out, and I like that it was Victor's, his push to make this happen.
If it was up to me, I think I would modify it a little bit. I would throw it back to the 90s. During the Spurs time in the Alamo Dome, they had separate fan sections that were sponsored by players. Like, there literally was a David Robinson section called Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Sean Elliott had a fan section. I forgot the nickname they used for it. Oh, Avery Johnson had a fan section. It was called like the Little Generals. This is all in the Alamo Dome, and I think that would have been a nice happy middle. You weren't sitting close to the action at the Dome. If you're one of those fan name sections, you're in the upper bowl. But so I think that would be cool to bring that back. But yeah, I don't know. Here, what about this? Just move the baseline bums back to the baseline. How about that, Spurs?
Yeah.
Just move them back and maybe revamp it. Maybe inject a little bit. Some of these baseline bums are, forever kind of members, so they're already up there in age. But, inject some new young life into that. I think that'll be worth it. But who knows? Like, man, you brought up a good point. Maybe this is like gearing up for a possible move to downtown and get this fan section going. So if it does happen and the Spurs go back downtown, then that's going to be a hot ticket, and you're one of the first.
Absolutely.
So that'd be a good one. All right. So what do y'all think about this fan section that Wemby's creating? Let Matt know on X at Matt GZMA. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone, and talk about it. Let's hear what you think. Would you pay close to $1,000? And it's not a season pass, everybody, to sit in this new fan section that Wemby is spearheading. All right. So let's give us your thoughts on that. Coming up next, we're going to shift gears to talk about the Locked On NBA Top 100 Players. I know we talked about it last week, but we got to revisit it thanks to one fan. Talk about that and more right here on Locked On Spurs with Matt Guzman. He's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets used across the app. You'll love FanDuel because it's just fits everything you need. You can build a same game parlay, do player props, jump into live action as the action unfolds. Make every moment more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. Quick, easy, the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. Cowboys have started their season. Texans are starting their season, so might as well jump on FanDuel right now. You ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman, who's going to spend close to $3,000 for 3 fans, right, to get into that section. Is that true, Matt?
I wish I could sponsor a couple of admission fees to this new section. I cannot.
No, I gotta get the Locked On Network to sponsor one. That's my rule is like you gotta wear a Locked On Spurs shirt in that.
That could be cool. That could be cool. Hey, and we already have fans that stop us to say, "Hey, aren't you on Locked On Spurs?"
That's right.
So
yeah.
it could happen.
Oh, that's right. That was you, right? I think you said you're in Vegas, wasn't?
Well, no, that was when they asked me about my cowboy hat, but no, it was at Frost Bank Center. Somebody stopped me and said, I watch you on Locked On Spurs. I think his name is Eric, and he watches it. He's probably watching right now. He watches all these shows. So yeah, it could maybe that could work. I kind of like that idea.
Look at Matt, Mr. Paparazzi there. Look at that. Get to stop my fans and everything. All right, so let's go to shift gears now and talk about the Locked On NBA Top 100 players. Now, again, as I said before the break, I know we talked about this last week, right? But we got to revisit it thanks to one fan who left a comment on Locked On Spurs YouTube page. So I'm going to read it. This is from Anthony63 Hernandez. He said, and we'll talk about this too, but again, this is just the genesis of the idea. He says, quote, I put Devin Vassell, in the top 100 before Steph Castle. Thank you for that comment there, Anthony Hernandez. Anthony63 Hernandez on Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Now, we're getting to that comment in a bit. But part of his comment that made me think about this topic and discuss it with Matt is that just overall, should Dev be in it? Now, we'll talk about Dev versus Castle in a bit. But let's talk about, why don't we do this, Matt? Why don't we look at the bottom 100? Because I don't think he's going to be in the top 10, in top 20. By the way, Matt, just for everybody else who didn't know, y'all can see Victor Wembanyama landed at 7. I think that was a fair rating. What did you think, Matt?
Absolutely. I mean, he's
fair. Yeah.
He just finished year 2 and had injuries on top of that, but there's no doubt that he's going to be creeping his way up there pretty soon.
Yeah. So again, we talked about this. We thought it was fair. Matt agrees. All right. So just quickly, just a recap here. Spur, De'Aaron Fox, he made number 33. What did you think about that?
I thought that was also fair. I think finally it was nice to see a high ranking for De'Aaron Fox. Like even when the 2K ratings came out, there were several players that were above De'Aaron Fox. A little questionable, but I think, 33 is great. I mean, when you're borderline 2 stars or top 30 NBA players, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we also agreed that was a fair mark. Although we did make an argument that you can't push him up 1, maybe just flip him with Domantas Sabonis. But again, that's nitpicking at that point. But all right, so let's get into the topic here. Now, everybody, I know I'll put Matt and I on the screen a bit, but this is just for y'all to follow along with us when we have these graphics up. I think for Devin, we got to start here. And again, no knock on him. We're not saying, he's such a bad player. This is just the top 100. So, Matt, let's look at 91 through 100. You could make a good argument that Devin should be above some of these guys, like Kamara for sure. Pritchard, I think so. You could do that. RJ Barrett, that one's tough for me. I think so. Christian Braun for sure. What do you think? If you think Dev should at least creep into 90 through 100?
Yeah, I think the thing that I had said was that I think he has a case for, making it above a lot of these guys on this screen specifically. Not Christian Braun, not Jalen Green, but when you really look at, obviously he had a little bit of a down year this past year offensively, but, in the year prior to that, he was around the same amount of points per game as a lot of these players, as RJ Barrett or Anthony Simons. And so I think he does have a case. I think if I were to put him in a position, I might put him at 97. I think that's where I would throw him in.
Yeah,
I could,
so
especially with next season, considering he's supposed to kind of find himself a little bit more, and CJ McCollum is only getting older. I think that's an easy case to make over him. I think he fits right there at 97.
See, I disagree with you here. If we're just looking at 91 through 100, I would slot him from. I would push 96. I think I can make 96 an argument. 96 through 100. Yeah, Pritchard is good. Yes, not saying he's horrible, but I think Dev could do a lot more than what Peyton. Peyton reminds me. I want to say he's not a one-dimensional player. He definitely can hit three. We know that, but he can slash. But again, I just think you could make an argument for 96 through 100. So I would have him in there if we're just looking at 91 through 100. It's tough. Yeah, but it's tough to make an argument for. Could you make an argument for Jalen Green? Green is streaky.
I know, and
He is
I've been,
streaky.
I mean, following all the Kevin Durant discourse that we had to over the offseason, like I was really conflicted on how good he actually is.
Yeah.
But I think he's been a higher option on a contending team for a little bit longer than Vassell has, because Vassell has yet to do so, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I give him the edge there. But I mean, it's not far fetched to say that if Vassell does take a step forward, that he's right there, you know, especially if Jalen Green kind of falls back a little bit.
Because you look at Dev, he's is it safe to say he's a 3-level scorer? He can definitely get his rim.
Yeah.
He can hit the outside shot. I'm not saying the three, but he can hit the outside shot. And he can get the free throw line. Oof. Man, oh man.
It's a tough one. I mean, that's probably as it's also contingent. Like right now, Vassell is not at the same level that Jalen Green has been producing, whether it be with the Rockets or what he's going to do with the Suns now. But I think that, you know, if you put them in a vacuum and look at just look at them on paper, there is a case there. There is. I could see where you're going with that one.
Yeah. All right. Let's just for fun. Look at 81 through 90. Let's see if Dev can fit into this grouping here.
And I know we said Castle was in this group here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When we reacted to this with Rudy Campos, we slotted Castle within 81 through 100. We think he could fit in there, and Rudy made a good argument he could fit in the 81 through 90 section here, because for Castle, I think Castle does more than Hart does. Definitely more than Beal. Mainly just playing. How about that? Just being available.
It's true.
Oof. Quickly, I think you could say, anyway, we'll talk to Castle in a bit. Let's look at Dev, though. Do you think Dev can vault any over these guys if we're gonna put them in the 81 through 90 range?
I think you kind of nailed it. Maybe Josh Hart, you know, but I honestly, I think I see it more as Josh Hart being rated way too high.
I agree.
Versus, you know, it's not one of those, like, if Devin is better than Josh Hart, then he has to be better than all, you know?
Yeah.
That's a really tough one.
What do you feel about DeAndre Hunter at 88? He's good, but...
And that's one of those guys that, I mean, he just recently took that step forward with the Cavs, and they've just recently begun to kind of be good, you know, year after year. And so I think it's a fair rating. I think he's starting to creep his way up there as well. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I would have put him higher than Hart myself. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I don't have as easy a time, obviously, justifying Devin Vassell jumping any of these guys up here. I mean, we said Josh Giddey for a second, but
see, that was hard for me, because Giddey is he's nearly a walking triple double.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's really good.
Herb Jones. Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to put Dev above him. Osar, maybe.
Right. That's just right now, you know, because Osar is also very new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, it's hard to ignore the Pistons game that you and I sat in on.
Oh, it was brutal. That was that sucked. All right, so we live for fun. Yeah, it was just for fun. Let's look at 71 through 80. This is
oh my goodness.
Now. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see that. No.
I don't think there's anybody. It was high. It was
down that path. All right. So we definitely can make an argument that Dev should fit somewhere 81 through 100.
Absolutely.
Do you think Dev got snubbed?
There's two ways of looking at that question. Like, I think as far as talent goes, yes, I think that he deserves a spot in the top 100. He's being paid as a secondary star on a team in the Western Conference, and so I think, he's just kind of between the injuries and struggling to find his footing a little bit.
Sure.
I think he definitely does deserve a spot up there. But that said, the other way of looking at it is just, considering he is being paid more money than a lot of these guys in 81 through 100.
It's true.
What has he done? And I think we've said that time and again. It's like you and I are still waiting for Devin Vassell to take that step forward that the Spurs have been hoping that he can take. And so
that's the thing, Matt. Because now, on paper, the Spurs are kind of loaded / deep. It might be even harder for him to get that one because there's only one basketball. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's my take on it. Talent-wise, he absolutely deserves a spot in that, especially 91 through 100. Yeah, but sure. I can't say I blame the discourse for not including him among these players, because some of these players have, like Peyton Pritchard, maybe he's not as great as Devin Vassell, like you said, but he's played a big role for a Boston Celtics team that's done great things the last couple of seasons. Vucevic is arguably the reason that the Bulls have not fully collapsed, offensively. And so I think there are arguments to be made about why Vassell quite isn't on this list.
Could you say Vassell could be fall at 93 over Pirtle?
I could see. I would entertain an argument for that.
I would entertain it. Yeah, I would entertain it too. Yeah. So it sounds like you're in agreement. At minimum, he should be at least in the 91 through 100 range. At minimum.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely fits there. By the way, Matt, a little behind the scenes chat here with you, because I was part of the Locked On Top 100 player voting and all that stuff. At 102 was a guy named Matt Guzman.
Oh, I just missed the cut.
You missed the cut, dude.
I could absolutely be Tumani in a one-on-one. That's crazy.
Exactly. And then, by the way, also too, Rudy Campos fell at 101, so Rudy had you by one.
Oh man.
All right. Well, let's go and take a break here, and we're going to continue talking about the top 100 again, thanks to a fan. And we're going to argue, should Dev have been in above Castle? So there, Castle falls out, Dev gets in the top 100. Let's talk about that. Coming up next, right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, let's talk about 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine with a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugars, 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot, and you can take it in whenever you need that boost and when you need it. Hey, you know what? Why don't you find your favorite flavor? What if it's original? What if it's a berry? There's so many flavors to choose from. You'll have your favorite flavor in no time. And here's the thing about 5 Hour Energy Shot. It kicks in fast, sugar-free. You don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy Shots. Get the favorites you love and be bold and try something new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman, 102 on the Locked On NBA top 102 players, I guess. Congratulations, Matt. Way to go.
Thanks. I wish there would have been a graphic for me and Rudy, but I understand, budget cuts happens.
Well, the graphic was just 2 garbage cans, so sorry about that.
Not wrong.
That's wrong. All right. Sorry about that, Matt. I didn't mean to do that to you. But anyway, we're talking about the Locked On Top 100 Players list. I know we talked about this last week, but we revisited thanks to a Locked On Spurs fan. I'll read this comment one more time. It was a good one. This is from, as soon as it loads up here, there we go. Anthony 63 Hernandez. His comment was, I'd put Dev in top 100 before Castle. Now, we talked about the argument for Castle in the last segment. We agreed. At minimum, 91 through 100. Okay. But what about this spin now? Dev in the top 100 before Castle? Now we're getting dicey here. Oh, man. I'm going to say no. that Castle gets in
Yeah.
before Dev. What do you think? Yeah.
Oh, know that Castle gets in before Devin Vassell?
No, I think I say Castle's in the top 100, and if we're gonna lose those two, and then Dev comes out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have a hard time justifying, and it's not right. Like again, now we're looking at a player who just finished his first season versus a 4th-5th year vet, but it's not that Castle is just infinitely better than Vassell. It's that his skill set lends itself to be a lot more impactful, and it showed that in year one. Between his offense and his defense, he was absolutely a two-way slasher who can get to the rim just about as easy as it gets. And I think when you look at what Castle brings to the Spurs versus what Devin Vassell has done over the last couple of seasons, there seems to be a higher upside with Castle, and like we've been saying, it's not a knock on Devin Vassell, but they absolutely got a gem at number 4 last draft, the 2 drafts ago now. And so, it's really a matter of whether Vassell can become the sharpshooter, the absolute pure scorer that the Spurs believe he can be. And I believe he has room to grow into that role as well. But, I think right now with the kind of impact that they have with the ceiling, considering everything, I think Castle gets in that list before, because I think he's already shown what he's on track to be, especially in San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you hit it on the head for me. I think Castle definitely deserves a spot in the 100 over Dev. Now, we'll just bring this up. We'll bring up the graphic now. And for Castle, yeah, I mean, you look at it, Kamara for sure. Yeah, he's better than that.
He's better than Anthony Simons, 100%.
Yeah. McCollum, he's better than McCollum.
Yeah.
Maybe in the Kale, I'd say, yeah, he is. Pritchard for sure. Barrett, woof, now we're getting close. Oof, that's tough. Jalen for sure. Jalen Green, yep, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So you can make an argument for possibly 92, and then falling somewhere between 96 through 100. Now, and get your thoughts on this. So go look at the 81 through 90 here. You can even say, yeah, better than Josh Hart. Definitely better than Bradley Beal. I even forgot that he played still. You can say DeAndre Hunter. Yeah, I think you can say DeAndre. The cast is better than DeAndre Hunter. But again, 83 is where I stop. I can't see him past Josh Giddey. And if you factor in everything, maybe the defensive chops could push him over. But like as I mentioned, Giddey's a walking triple-double, man.
Right. I think my line here, I have a hard time justifying Ausar Thompson because they're so similar.
Good point.
Castle kind of, I mean, I believe Castle can fare better offensively than Ausar can right now. But when you look at what he's done, he leans on his defense just as much as Castle does. He's had an extra year in the league, and the Pistons have done well. And he's kind of broken out, especially over the last season or so. And so I think that, I see Castle and Ausar being on the same path. But right now, Ausar has the edge. He's got an extra year, and he's done well with the Pistons. Castle's only had his one season with the Spurs. And so I think that's kind of where the line is for me. But it's suddenly not so outlandish to look at that 81 through 90 graphic and try and justify it. I think Castle can absolutely make his way up in there.
Yeah. And unlike Devin, where you and I comfortably say, okay, at minimum 91 through 100, he fits there. When we talked about this last week with Rudy Campos sweep the lead, we said you can make a bigger argument for Castle being 80 through 100, like in that range. So there's a lot more room you could say than for Castle than for Devin if you're looking at those lists. But yeah, I guess overall you can say a couple Spurs may have been snubbed, but of the two, Vassell and Castle, for sure, Castle got snubbed. Now I know there's gonna be Spurs fans leaving comments here saying, "Oh, what do it's too soon for Castle. What's wrong? Well, it's just a one and done thing, in next season, sophomore slump and whatnot." But you can't deny this kid's projection. It's insane, and what he did, rookie of the year. Now I know his 3-point shot wasn't great, but if you followed the trajectory during the season, it was getting better and better, and it spiked late in the season. Still not good, but it was trending the right direction.
And the thing with Castle that I always like to say is it's not. He's not going to become a 40% 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Like that's never going to be a staple of his game. It doesn't have to be. because he's going to be leaning on a lot of other different things. So I think a lot of people put a little bit too much stake in, like when I see people talk about Castle or what he was able to do or what he's incapable of, people put a lot of stake into the 3-point shot with him. And I don't necessarily think that that's why he's in San Antonio. I think they definitely do have a 3-point shooting problem, but I don't think it's because of Castle, and I don't think Castle needs to be the remedy to that.
Yeah, and look, he's been working out in the offseason. You've been documenting it, so have I, with the guard whisperer, and that 3-shot looks better. And I know everybody, closed gym, no defender, all the time he wants to set up. I get all that. But still, you like knowing that at least he knows he's focused on that 3-shot. And if that 3-shot starts falling down a little bit more regularity next season, Matt, forget about it. It's done. It's done. He puts everything together the way he did. Yeah, I think, man, I could know it. I'm gonna hold this topic. It's a good topic for a future episode. I'm gonna, I'm not even tell Matt about it because I'm gonna save it. And I'll not talk about it either. But I'll tell Matt later on though when we're done here. But something about that 3-shot. If that 3-shot starts falling for Castle next season, dang, that's a weapon the Spurs have, huh, Matt?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If he proves me wrong and he becomes a prolific 3-point shooter like that, yeah, he absolutely jumps up in the priority list. And, as far as what option he is, it definitely helps his stock quite a bit.
Yeah, and I hear you're a prolific 3-point shooter. Is that true?
That is actually, I think if you look at all of my shots, if you look at my shot chart, I am the warmest from the 3-point line, but that doesn't say a lot.
Watch out, Rudy. Hey, Rudy, Campos, heads up. Looks like Matt is going up to 101 now. He was that 3-shot. We gotta know if Rudy has a 3-shot too. We don't know. I think he likes to do Shaq style, just bully his way in that paint. But
yeah, I don't have a defense for that. So
there you go. He is Matt Guzman, and he's on Spurs on Sports Illustrated. You want to follow him on X at MattGZMAN and leave him your thoughts about his takes on the Wemby fan section. Dev Castle, the top 100. Was Dev snubbed? Could there be an argument that Devin Vassell was snubbed in the top 100? And what do you think about Dev versus Castle? If you had to pick one, who gets in, who gets out? Again, Matt, tell us about Spurs on Sports Illustrated. I know it's still the offseason, but the season's creeping up pretty fast.
Well, I will say that I have a very exciting interview coming up tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow morning, I'm going to interview one of the players. So I'm excited about that opportunity, and I will, get that put out as soon as I can. But yeah, as of today, we are 2 weeks away from Media Day, and I'll be there as well with Jeff. So that's it's kind of crazy that it's finally around the corner, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah, it is. And heads up, Matt. I think my first month when the open season starts, that's going to be like my in and out month. But after that, in November, I'll be back on track because everything's colliding in October for me. It's Media Day, it's training camp, it's my MC duties for some of the Comic-Con conventions in San Antonio. So it's to the point now where some of the Spurs know about that. They're like, oh, he's out of the game. Oh, he's doing an MC right now at the Comic-Con. So they already know.
That makes sense.
But after that, I should be back on the regular flow. It's just that month of October is just going to smoke me.
One of these times, you got to get De'Aaron Fox on the podium with you to talk Dragon Ball Z. I think
that is a damn good idea.
I'm sure he would love to go up and talk about it.
I know I'm going to probably repost this soon for everybody on X soon, but he did a interview with me where we just nerded out, and he gave me like his top 5-6 Dragon Ball Z fighters. So, man, it was that day where Fox and I met up. We could have gone on for hours. Like, we're talking about gaming and everything, but it's kind of hard to justify that after a game, right, Matt? It's Matt Guzman be sitting in the crowd at a post game in the media room going, "All right, Fox, so you went 13 for 20 from the 3 line." And then Jeff, so Broly versus Vegeta, so that would not be right. So it's trying to find ways, to get those kind of questions in.
Yeah, it's tough.
Good.
Media Day is the day to do it too. So,
I'm probably going to ask if Fox can come on Locked On Spurs for Media Day. I think that's probably the best opportunity I got. If not, then got to go through the rigmarole of requesting players during the season, which is always tough to do, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, congratulations, Matt. Looking forward to that article coming out tomorrow, you said, right?
Well, tomorrow's the interview. It'll probably be on Wednesday, but yes, very, very soon.
All right. Very soon. How about that, everybody? Very soon. That's why you got to follow him on X at MattGZMA. And again, he's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him. Give him some comments. Give him a shout out. Congratulate him on falling at number 102 in the Locked On NBA top 102 players. So crazy that stuff, that craziness. I know. You'd be like, I need a recount. You need a recount. I need to count those votes again. So we appreciate it, Matt. Thank you again for hopping on Locked On Spurs to kick us off this week here on a Monday. Everybody else, thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever we get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kinsfight Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. Subscribe ASAP because you guys are the everydayers. Also, make sure to follow me on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Let me hear your thoughts, questions, and everything. We got by the way, heads up, everybody. This week is going to be packed with some really good guests. And let me do my math here. So Matt is today. So we have a returning guest who's finally coming back. I think a lot of Spurs fans are going to be excited for that. But I think on Wednesday, Wednesday guest is going to be pretty big. So heads up on that. All right, so look forward to that. And keep on coming back here to Locked On Spurs, your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. So for Matt Guzman, I am Jeff Garcia. What we're going to do, we're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.